we're focusing on a really hyper niche skill today, which is creating a quiz or an assessment for your business. And so the first thing I want to do is kind of talk about some of the background of how we've used quizzes and assessments in our company and how they have helped all of us grow. I should probably mute all you guys. I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and do that. How they've helped our company grow. And so one of the things that I want you guys to see before we even talk about quizzes, because, we don't know for sure if a quiz is the perfect thing for your company. But I want you to see how we use it big picture. And then we're going to go through exactly step by step. And I will email you the worksheet. The thing with these worksheets is that, raise your hand if you actually have a printer at home, right? Like I have a little teeny mini one now that I don't ever use. And so what I want you guys to do is I want you to see this so you can, you'll obviously have it, but you can write down the answers to the step-by-step we're going through today. On any sheet of paper, right? You don't have to have this. So first of all, we're going to start out. I'm going to share with you why quizzes are important, how we've used quizzes as a company, just to kind of get your wheels spinning as to whether or not this is a good strategy for you. It might not be a great strategy for you, and so I want to make sure that you're seeing that big picture. And then we're going to talk about actually the step-by-step process of creating your quiz, both the content in your quiz and the actual technical side of building the quiz as well. Who here? So you guys know I love it when you chat with each other and connect with each other through here. So if you have a quiz already, or if you're thinking about creating a quiz, can you just comment in the chat? I want to know if you have a quiz or you are thinking about creating a quiz already. So put that in the chat so I can see that here. I can't see real well, Leslie, when you raise your hand. Sometimes if you're responding yes, it's just always, for some reason, it's just the way the Zoom is. So if you guys can just chat and let me know that, put it in the chat, either yes, or you're thinking about creating one. Wow, the sun is just right in my eyes today. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of background information about how as a company we have used quizzes. So I have many different quizzes that I've created because I love them, and quizzes provide mutual benefits. So when a quiz is done right, it provides crazy insight for you as the business owner into what your client needs and where they are in the process of finding results based on what your company delivers, whatever that is. So crazy insights for you as a business owner. When somebody takes your quiz, you know exactly, if they're ready to buy, what they're struggling with, specific areas of need that they have. It is a amazing, like on steroids, insight to exactly what people need. The cool thing about a quiz is that it actually gives them crazy, on steroids, if you will, results as well. So it gives them insight, it gives them clarity, it helps them to have immediate action steps that they can do to move forward. It is what I feel as though one of the most mutually beneficial things that you can do for your business, both for your company and for the consumer. That's when we do it right. That's when we create a quiz right. Those are the results. So they're walking away from it going, man, I have so much insight. I have so much more knowledge now, than I did before about myself or my situation or what I need to do or whatever it is. And then we have you as a business owner going, aha, this person just took my quiz and I know exactly, where they are. And what they need or what they're struggling with. So as historically, we've had a quiz for a very, very long time, probably like 7 or 8 years now. And many of you guys have taken that quiz. That quiz tells people where they are on my lifestyle business roadmap. So I'm the creator of the lifestyle entrepreneur system, and that has a roadmap within it. And there are 5 steps in that roadmap. Each step aligns with where somebody is in their business development. And the power of that is that when they know what phase of business growth they're in, then it tells them exactly what they should be working on, exactly what they should be focusing on, totally what they should be ignoring because they aren't ready for something yet. And it gives them this like laser vision into where they are and what to do right now and what to ignore. It is really, really powerful. On the flip side, it tells us as a company exactly who needs what. I know exactly what percentage of people who have taken that quiz or assessment. We'll talk about the difference kind of between a quiz and assessment here in today's training too as well. That I know exactly the percentage of people that are in business launch phase based on who took that. I know the percentage of people that are ready to scale their business. I know the percentage of people that are ready to take their brand to the next level through writing a book or through, social entrepreneurship and giving. I know the people that are still working 9 to 5 and haven't even taken one step to start launching their new company yet. And so as a business, what I do with that is based on where they are. So for example, just even the opening of this business launch program, I might send out a couple of emails. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. I have to pause this. This is Children's Hospital calling. Welcome for your patience. And that was totally insight behind the scenes. So basically, what happens as a business is I know exactly who to send emails to. So I might send a couple of emails to like the whole list, right? I might send, hey, by the way, we're opening this business launch program to my whole list. But all the emails like card is opening, card is closing, bonuses and everything, those emails that we're sending are only going to the people that I know are in those who've taken the quiz, who have shown interest in other things that I have put out there that relate to business launch. I'm not emailing my whole entire list because it's a waste of their time. It is, they don't need it. Like, why would I fill their inbox with something and trying to recommend something to them that is, overall something that they're not going to buy anyway. And furthermore, I wouldn't even, if you're ready to scale your business, then this is not the right program. So that's what having a quiz can do for you. It helps you hyper focus your communications with your list, what you're building, what you're creating, what you're offering based on how people come out in your quiz. Now, I can't tell you that it is whatever quiz that you are going to create, and we're going to talk about that today. I can't tell you that it's going to actually give you the exact programs that you should create, because that depends on what kind of quiz that you create, right? For us, that's why I did that. For you, we might be creating a quiz that helps you identify, mental blocks in people or, physical ailments in people. That, I'm not sure based on your company or your business model exactly what that's going to look like, right? But that's how we use it, and it is incredibly powerful. The other thing, and we're going to talk about marketing at the end of this, the other thing, which is just super cool, is that people love to take quizzes. And so when I'm on a podcast or when I'm guesting somewhere else or when I'm speaking, it's very easy for me to be able to say, hey, by the way, if you're interested in this, go and take this quiz. It's a perfect lead magnet that people don't feel like that people are very keen right now, and they are very stingy of their email address. So a quiz takes them through the whole process. They put in time and effort by answering the questions. And then after they're done answering the questions, it asks them for their email address. I really like that because all the other lead magnets that we do, the majority of them are set up where it's like, first you give me your email and then I'm going to deliver you the goods, where you already have to have at least some level of trust or a super rockin' landing page, with amazing copy and all these things, in order for somebody to get the goods. Whereas with a quiz, you actually are interacting with them, engaging with them, asking them questions that they're like, oh my gosh, this is super cool. And then of course they want the results to their quiz. And so they're going to give you their name and email address and you can create a relationship with them. So The reality is I'm a huge advocate of quizzes. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go through the worksheet and I'm going to take you step by step through the process of we're going to go really big to really small. I think that's the best way to understand. We're going to go through the process of, big ideas, how to really decide what type of quiz you want, an assessment, whether or not you want that or an assessment, and then of course how to actually create the content for your quiz. So let me go ahead and pull up the PDF I just created for you guys and share it with you. And this is a step-by-step process. Like I said, I will be emailing this to you. There we go. Okay, so I'll be shooting this out to you guys in email. So far, let's see here. Here we go. Leslie, you need a quiz to screen clients. Okay, that's great. Patty's in the process of improving her assessment. Turning into a quiz, stuck on the descriptions. Okay, Susan has a quiz. Awesome. Susan, can you plug in here the name of your quiz, kind of what your quiz is about? I think that's really helpful. If you have a quiz and you're thinking about creating a quiz, plug in here and let's just kind of answer this question together. What is the main topic of your quiz? So step number one, how to create your quiz or assessment is what is the actual main topic of it? What's the main goal of this? Leslie said it's to screen clients. Brooke, you definitely need a quiz. I definitely want you to have one. I think we even talked about that last week or the other week in your private coaching session about doing that. Susan says you don't have one yet. Okay, you want to use one there. Okay, awesome. All right, so if you're thinking about creating a quiz, let's talk about, what it is. Patty has an amazing, Patty, if it's okay if I use you as an example, Patty is a stress reduction expert. She is an expert at teaching people how to reduce their stress in the workplace and get clarity. Patty's doing an amazing job also starting to speak at corporations about stress reduction. But Patty has a system, kind of like my roadmap. Any sort of system you already have, it's great to focus on that to kind of create a quiz around that. Patty's system, she has all these indicators of, I forgot what it's called, Patty. It's like the 7 different things of either wellness or stress or whatever. And so her quiz that she's been going through this is we can even build the outcomes related to like how well people are doing in each one of the 7 areas. And so it is. Let's see here. I believe need an assessment and a quiz. Okay. Yeah, Remy thinks she might need one as well. So the reality is that if you have, first of all, step number one, if you have a methodology or a system or pillars of your business, maybe it could be core fundamental building blocks of what you offer. Those are great things to think about when you're thinking about creating a quiz. Okay, so the first step is figuring out what is the main topic, what is my quiz going to be about. All right. So in step number 2 is, how does your quiz relate to or confirm your area of expertise? This is not rocket science, guys. This is basically saying, make sure you do a quiz that relates to what you're going to sell. Okay. So obviously you guys are all super smart women. If I were to share this PDF somewhere else, I would have to include that because it's crazy sometimes how people create things that seem super fun that totally don't relate to their company whatsoever. So first of all, pick the main idea of your quiz. And what I would like you to do is I would just like to for you guys to plug in your idea of kind of the main idea of what you think your quiz is going to be about into our chat here so we can all see that. And then obviously making sure that that main idea is related to your business. And then the next thing you need, this is really high level. We're not even talking about writing the content at all. The third step is to determine what general answers will your quiz provide. So is it going to, like for me, let's take, most of you guys have taken the quiz into my business so I can use as an example, so hopefully it can help you visualize it. So the general answers is my quiz tells people where they are in business development. Patty's quiz is going to tell people, Patty, let's see here. The personal assessment. Patty, weren't you going to create yours based on different areas in their life that could be causing stress? whatever it is, the next question is to figure out, what general answers will your quiz provide? For Brooke, general answers your quiz is going to provide is, is a company ready to scale? Or where you are in the process of being ready to have my services to actually scale your operating procedures or help you build operating procedures that scale. Okay. And then the next question to ask is, let's see here. Leslie says, trying to get their expectations and budget. What do you own, their lifestyle, and how they will work with me? Okay, that is really perfect. It might be a little bit too much to throw in all in one in the actual quiz itself. So what we can do to hone in, and we'll talk about this in a bit here, Leslie, is what we can do to hone in is kind of pick what's most important out of there. Obviously their budget. And we'll talk about different ways of questions that you can ask without asking them, what's your budget? Or maybe we just do ask them, what's your budget? And other ways that you can hone in kind of on their lifestyle and things would be through follow-up emails after the quiz or based on the answers of their quiz, setting up a phone consult. I don't know if we're going a little too broad with that. I really do feel like the lifestyle part of it is a big part of your quiz. So we want to create a quiz that makes people happy to take, and that there's like an element of excitement of, maybe they're not really sure about how that's going to come out. All right. So what will your quiz tell your users about themselves or their situation? And then what will your quiz tell you about your users? So those are two very different questions that you need to answer. So obviously, going back to Leslie's, for example, what will your quiz tell your users about themselves or their situation? So what will they find out from your quiz that they might not actually have known before? The quiz can't just be about giving you information on them. We have to give them information and insight into themselves. So that is kind of that hook, is to, of course, they probably know which one they're going to end up in anyway, kind of what outcome they're going to be anyway. But your quiz should have some sort of an element of surprise about the self-realization that somebody will get from going through that process. So what is it going to tell your users about themselves? Maybe some insight, maybe a light bulb going off. And then what is it going to tell your users about your users? And those are really tactical things like, are they ready to buy? How much money they're ready to spend? Where their business is or where they live, whether or not they're really ready to take action, maybe how much action they've taken already on this and what their results have been. Okay, so this is like the big high level. And does anybody have any questions about this so far? Go ahead and raise your hand if you have questions about this so far. We're going to dive into actually creating the specific content, but I want to make sure that high level, you're understanding what is the main topic of your quiz, how does it, relate to the service and the offer, so the upsell after the quiz, what general answers does it provide, what is it going to tell your users about themselves that they might not already have known, and what is it going to tell you about the user? Everybody good? Type in I'm good if you guys are good on this. Okay. And then Brooke, you're good. Teva, you're good. All right. And then the next thing, less good, great, Wendy, good. Okay, awesome. So, and then the next thing, the difference is just between a quiz and an assessment. There really isn't any like law about this. In my opinion, a quiz is usually between like 3 and 8 questions at the most. And an assessment is something that's 9 questions or more. And so what we're talking about is when somebody takes a quiz, they expect it to be kind of like quick. You know what I mean? When you're creating something that has more than 9 questions, they have to be vested, right? They have to say, hey, I'm willing to sit down here for 5 or 10 minutes and answer these questions. If you are, and I have a assessment, if you will, that's like this. I was going to share this with you, but I really want to be respectful of your time. I don't know that sharing this big assessment with you is going to help you to create your own quiz, so I opted not to do that. I will make that available to you afterwards so you can see that if you guys do want to test the difference between a quiz and an assessment. But when somebody's sitting down to go through an assessment, sometimes there's different sections of topics within an assessment. So a quiz might be 5 straight questions. Here you go, boom, 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 answer them. Here's your result. Whereas an assessment might start out with personality, and then have like 3 questions that go to that. And then it might go to like another section within there that says finances, and like 3 questions under that. It might have another section it goes to that says lifestyle, 3 questions under that. So I just want to kind of have you be thinking about which one do you think is going to be best for your users. And then of course we have to be thinking about which one do you actually think your users are going to do. So I want you to look at your current audience and ask yourself, how engaged is my audience? Have I ever put out something before? Like when I put out something, say, I'm going to do a live stream, join me at 10 o'clock. How many people actually take action on that? What is my interaction rate with my community? And so if you have a low interaction rate with your community and that's something of a goal, or no, I mean, even if you're in the beginning, if you have no interaction rate with your community and that's a goal that we are trying to, that we're trying to bring in, is that creation and that interaction to like a cold audience, I would go with a quiz. That is why my lifestyle entrepreneur roadmap is a quiz, because it is a quiz that I give to a cold audience. It's how I bring people into my company who have never heard of me before, never listened to the podcast, and it's only like 5 or 6 questions. Okay, so just kind of be thinking about that. An assessment is something that I'm not saying people won't take it, and it really depends on what your specialty is. But if you're sitting down to do 30 questions, you better be damn sure that people already want to invest that time with you. Okay? All right. Everybody good? Okay. Now let's go on to actually how to create your quiz. So I want to like zoom in here, apparently not that far. I really want you guys just focusing on step number 1. Don't read anything else right now. We're just focusing on step number 1. Patty says, what if it's more than 9 questions, but it's more like a yes or no questions? That's probably totally fine, Patty. Yeah. If it's like yes and no and flipping through and it kind of goes quick, I think that you'll be fine retaining them. If you have long answers, and I have seen your quiz before, Patty, I think that's fine for you. If you have long answers, like blah, 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 like each answer is like a sentence or 2 sentences and they have to read through each one, then that's going to be a little bit harder to get them to the end of that quiz. It's a great question. Okay, so step number 1, again, focus on number 1 with me, guys. There's a lot of big tasks here, and so I don't want you looking at anything else but number 1. Okay, so step number 1 is to determine the numbers and the names of the outcomes of your quiz. You do not start building your quiz by writing questions. You start building your quiz by writing the outcomes. Okay, so writing the results. It could be anywhere from 2 results to 6 different results. I really think that for you, and when we're talking about tech, it's really hard with the tech and the software to get it right to build a quiz with more than 5 outcomes. A sweet spot for outcomes would be around 3 or 4. Okay, so the very first thing you're gonna do is sit down with a piece of paper or your Google Drive or whatever you type in, right? And you need to choose the number of outcomes and the names of the outcomes. I don't want you to get totally hung up on the names yet, because you can come in and fine tune them. But the names, I really want them to be unique names that people can understand, but are kind of unique to your business and your brand. Again, if you already have pillars of your company, and maybe your quiz is giving them an indication of where they are based on each one of the pillars. If you already have that, if you already have a methodology, or like Patty has, if you already have components of what causes stress, whatever, then totally look to create your quiz around what you already have. The purpose of your quiz is to reinforce your methodology even more, right? And so, and to really establish you as the expert and as the source for them. So step number one is actually writing the paragraphs and in thinking about, step number two is writing the paragraph. Step number one is really like thinking about the names and choosing the number of outcomes as you guys have. So again, that is like for me, I have 5 different outcomes. It's going to tell you what phase of the lifestyle entrepreneur roadmap you're in. Phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each phase has a name, pre-launch, launch, scale, freedom, philanthropy. It's super cut and dry. So step number one is to determine that. Sorry, I'm getting blown up by text messages from my husband. He has Jacob right now. And so after you decide that, and if you don't really know, just go with something simple. So Brooke, let's take yours as an example, okay? So your quiz steps would probably be broken up into like 3 steps, and it would be to determine a company that we want to separate out the people that are still kind of in pre-launch, not really ready to invest in scaling. So that would kind of be number 1. Step number 2, we want to have an outcome that is established small business that is ready to scale. And then step number 3 is probably established small business that's ready to scale, but they don't want to do it themselves. So that's kind of correlating to your services that you offer. If people come up and they're in pre-launch, if they are still in the process of growing their company, they're not your ideal clients. Great. They ended up in that area, but we want to use that to actually disqualify clients as well. Same with Leslie, right? You want to use this to disqualify clients, and they'll get a great result. You'll send them a great email, but they aren't ready to buy what you have yet. And then the other outcomes of your quiz could be like scaling business ready for help, or scaling business ready for high level help, or something like that. So just come up with your numbers numbers and the names of your outcome. And then here we go. Step number 2. This is the hard work. This is the part that's going to take you guys the longest, okay? So on average, this will take you at least a whole day to write, okay? That could be, if you're super efficient, it could be a whole day, which is, 3 hours of work. If you always get interrupted by your children or your husband texting you or the freaking hospital calling like I do, this is going to take you 10 hours to do, okay? So just know that this is the hardest part of the whole thing. It's even harder than the technology, okay? Here is where the bulk of your work is, okay? So you're gonna write the outcome for your quiz, and each outcome in paragraph form. This is like the end result. So you're gonna start it saying like, you are here if, so again, some specific outcomes would be for somebody who is, launching their business. For us, like if they end up in phase 2, business launch, the outcome is like, great. I'm like literally actually writing it to them. Great. You're in the process of launching your business, or you're ready to take the first action. This is where you are. And you want to tap into how they're feeling and what's happening in their situation. So I would say, this is where you are. These are the things you're probably stressed about. These are the things that you're probably making decisions on right now. These are the things that are making you feel overwhelmed right now. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is blowing my mind. Yes, this is exactly me. She knows exactly what I'm talking about, because I've shared very specific things within that paragraph that relate to exactly where they are in that one outcome. Only that one outcome. So when you're writing this paragraph, you want to tap into specific situational things in stresses, possibly pain points that they could be dealing with right now, some of the questions or things that are processing through their mind, some of the maybe situations that are happening within their business or within their life or with their health, based on that particular outcome. And so you are immediately saying, hey, here you are. Congratulations, this is where you are. And then the second part is going right into saying, and this is what it feels like to be where you are right now. So immediately you're gaining credibility with them through your outcome, because you are telling them, you're like in their brain, right? And so what that does for you is, number 1, they love you. Number two, they know that you know what the hell you're talking about. All right. And number three, they're like, whatever this chick says, I want more of, because she has said to me what I've either been thinking and haven't shared with anybody else, or what my business has been experiencing and I haven't told anybody else, but oh my gosh, she knows. Or what it feels like in my home because because it isn't the way that I want it to be. And these are kind of subconscious thoughts, or, why I can't move to the next level in my business or in my professional life, because of the fact that these are the things that I'm twisting around in my mind. Okay. So step number one is, of this paragraph, tell them where they are. Step number two is write specific language that speaks directly to them psychologically, situationally, whatever's happening. And then you are going to give them details to help them. We want to make sure we're helping them. Okay. So then you're going to give them any, specific details about this particular outcome, and providing them with these results. And so specifics are, you can give them tips. You can give them steps that they should be doing. You can give them specific actions or recommendations. And then you also, we're in business to make money, right? You also then want to tell them how they can work with you, if it applies at all. So this is where somebody like for Brooke or for Leslie, where one of those outcomes, we want to disqualify people. We want to save them time and save you time from continuing to really interact for something that you're not going to be able to give them results on. So if at this point, based on this particular outcome, they aren't right for you, then you would write in there just saying, hey, you know what, you're not quite ready yet, or this isn't, it doesn't seem like you're at the place yet where this would be ideal. Our solutions would be ideal with you, but I'm going to give you some more steps right now where you can keep moving forward, and we'll check in with you again in, a couple of months. All right. So flat out say, my services aren't for you, in a really nice way. You can also tell them what to do next. So if it's like, yes, you need my help, and this is a very important thing, you're dealing with problems right now that I can solve for you immediately, then what we want to make sure that we're doing is telling them how to get your help, or providing them with more information on next steps to either work with you or next steps not to work with you. So the next steps, we'd also give them tips that they can try to DIY, but we want to be very clear saying, hey, listen, it sucks where you are right now, and I do recommend that you need help. Why don't you schedule a call with me? Or let's set up an assessment based on where you are, or not assessment. Let's set up, a discovery call based on where you are, or go ahead and click here and watch this video series, whatever the next step in line in your funnel is that you're building, then tell them that. And then you would also want to include here, as you're writing out each one of these outcomes, you want to include any sort of graphics. Is there like a graph or an actual visual that you need to send to them? Is there something else that they need from you to understand where they are? So this is so basically you are going to rinse and repeat this for each outcome. So step number one, we talked about picking the number of outcomes and naming them. Step number two, now you need to go through and you need to actually write the actual outcome itself. First of all, say, hey, this is where you are. And then part number two is to say, I get where you are, by tapping in and talking about some specifics that they're facing emotionally, financially, relationally, strategically within their business, whatever it is that you do. And then you're going to give them tips or recommendations and next steps. Rinse and repeat times the number of outcomes that you have. All right. Does everybody understand that? Are we all good there? Any questions about writing the outcome? Can you offer a written example of what step 2 would look like? You can Patty, just pop back in there. Here, I'll give you the link. Let me give you guys the link to take my quiz. And what I would do is, because all of our content is uploaded in there now. if you haven't taken the quiz, we'll do that. This is the quick quiz. You're gonna have to enter your email again, but I already have your email, so it's no big deal. What you guys might want to do is, there you go, is answer the questions a little bit differently. I don't care if you do that. You are going to get different emails based on how you answer the questions, but you can answer the questions a little bit differently just to kind of see the different outcomes of where you are in the quiz and to kind of see how we go through the process. And let me go ahead and screen share. Let me screen share one of these for you. So this is our quiz, and I'll go ahead and we'll click on take the self-assessment. So see, we actually give them questions that they need to read through. So the first one is, what are you most interested right now? And so we'll just kind of click through some of these. I don't even know what outcome we're going to end up with. And click that. Okay, this is really important. This is kind of, I'll show you, we're going to get into questions next, but if you look right here, it tells me how much money they're currently making in their business. So when somebody answers this, you know, somebody that is making over 8,000 is ready for my high level masterminds. And so let's go ahead and put my answer in there. And so it will give them,
hey there, congratulations on.
So based on after they take the quiz, and we're going to talk about this, is it takes them to a video explaining what they just did and the outcome for it, and then the outcome is mailed to them. So that actually didn't give you the answer of that outcome. Okay. All right, so I'll look up those, and I'll try to send you guys those. I thought we took it directly to each outcome, but I know that it's important to have like a video. I'm really advocate for a video. Okay, so does anybody have any questions so far about writing your outcome paragraph? Okay, Teva. Does it matter where we look at, at my quiz? Does it matter where we look at your quiz? I don't know, I understand that. Okay, Teva, I just unmuted you. What's your question?
In order to, like, I really like looking at what other people have done. So I want to be able to look at your quiz. Where would you recommend we go? Because I don't want to interrupt on your end. I don't know if that would even apply or not. But I want to be able to go through your quiz and really take a really good look at it. So where would you suggest I go?
So I wonder, so it's all built, we've had it for so long, you guys, that I don't even know, like, I don't know that I don't think I have it in, I don't have it all written in one document. It's all uploaded already into Interact.
I know we can access it from the podcast.
Oh, well, I just put the link in here for you to take it.
I didn't get it.
Okay, it's in the chat.
Okay.
Do you guys all see that? Yeah.
I see the chat, but I just see my stuff.
Oh gosh. Okay, so let me share it
again.
Okay, let me share it again. I probably just shared it closed. Hold on.
And this is the most up-to-date version of it. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, see, that's what's the beauty of a quiz, is that we might have tweaked this quiz once in the last 3 years. I don't ever have to touch it. It's written in a way that I don't have to touch it, that no matter what, it's still going to give me the same answers. And so we want to create content like this for longevity. We don't want you guys building a quiz that you're going to have to change it. So like I would never create a quiz right now saying how volatile is your business for loss due to coronavirus. I would never do that. You know what I mean? That would be a very short-term quiz.
Exactly. Okay. No, I want to be able to look at it, really pick it apart, because that's how I learn. Is get my hands on it, eyes on it, touch it, feel it.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and keep going, and I'll kind of walk you through. Does anybody else have any questions about writing the paragraph outcome for your quiz? This is going to take you the longest. Okay, so obviously the fewer outcomes you choose, the faster you're going to get done with your quiz. So that's why I love the idea of you guys starting out with maybe 3 outcomes and going through and writing the paragraph for that. Okay, let's keep going here. Okay, so step number 3, let's highlight this one right here. Step number 3 is then we go. So after you have your paragraphs written, then you go and you write your quiz questions. So for each outcome, which we did up above in step 2, you will create or write the questions that correlate with each outcome. And then you choose or you write the number of questions that you will have in your quiz. Okay, so for each outcome, if I want to have a quiz with 5 questions, I'm going to come up with 5 questions for each outcome. Types of an example of questions would be, okay, so if my outcomes, again, are finding out if somebody's in phase 1 through 5 of business. For example, if I wrote the outcome for phase 1, which is somebody who's just trying to launch their business or thinking about launching a business, they actually haven't even taken the steps yet. They're working their 9 to 5. They're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. The paragraph would say, hey, great, congratulations. You are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. This is such an exciting time to, believe in yourself and to really figure out what you want the rest of your life to look like. And you're probably excited and bouncing a bunch of ideas around in your head, but you're also bouncing the fact that you need to have insurance for your family and you have a great 9 to 5 job. You're not really sure how or when to leave that. I understand. Here are 10 things you can do right now. The questions for that could be, and so I want to clarify, it doesn't have to actually be a question. These are statements. So it's somebody, like, you can have them say, which one best correlates to me? So these, instead of actual questions, most of these are written in statement form. And so the statement would be, I'm still working my 9 to 5 job and thinking about launching my own company, would be one question that goes to this. If I wanted to write it in question form, I could then write, are you still working your 9 to 5 and thinking about launching your own company? And then they would click that box. But most of the questions that we put out there are in statement form. Okay, I hope that makes it clear. Oh, it's okay, Brooke. It's good to talk to you, and we'd love to have you hop back on. Brooke is a perfect example of somebody who's at her 9 to 5 job right now and working her butt off to launch her new business. So really excited for her. So that would be one kind of statement or question that we could do. Another statement or question for phase 1 would be, you have so many ideas for your new business, but you're not exactly sure which one to pick. That could be another statement / question that we pick for that number 1 outcome. And so you would go through each one of the outcomes, and I don't want to show you the quiz again because all of the questions are jumbled together. They aren't listed out in order, so it can seem overwhelming. But the next part is to write the number of statements or the number of questions for each outcome that correlate to each outcome. And you want to pick those statements so they're very clear to you that they correlate with that particular one. Does that make sense? You guys got to give me a good to go or understand, because this is kind of where people get hung up. The biggest pitfalls in creating a quiz are in between step number 2 and in between step number 3. How to take it from paragraph form and put it into question form or statement form. So if I were to change this word questions, I'm realizing that's probably a little bit clearer. So write your quiz statements for each outcome, write or create statements that correlate to each outcome. Makes sense in general. Okay. All right. And so again, example, if you want your quiz to have 5 questions, you're going to write 5 questions that correlate with each outcome. Okay. I know what I can show you guys, which will be really helpful. Would you like me to show you? Well, I'll take a break here, and then I can kind of do some screenshots and pull them in there. Some of the back end of how we upload the quiz and to interact. Okay. All right, step number 4 is then you're going to go ahead and you're going to create any designs, graphics that you need to actually brand your quiz to your business. So this could be, you know, really particular graphics. Maybe it's like with ours, like you're in phase 1. Then you get a graphic that says that you're, you know, phase 1, planning these things, or phase 2 launch. So then you're going to go ahead using Canva or whatever design tool you use and actually create any sort of graphics, whether you need to actually give them graphics within the outcome. Maybe there's an infographic you need to share with them based on the data that you want to share with them, whatever it is. You're going to go ahead and create the graphics for this. And then step number 5 is then you're going to plug your quiz into your chosen software. We're not going to get too hung up on software here. And I'm going to show you some examples of what you can use. But today's priority is actually just creating the content for your quiz. Once you have the content of your quiz, you guys, you copy and paste it into the software. So most people kind of go into the software with no content for their quiz, and you're going to hit a brick wall every single time. So we want to actually create the content of the quiz first. But just some of the recommendations of the software that we use, and I'll put links to these as well. Interact is the quiz software that we use. We love it. People love it. I can embed the quiz. I have a landing page itself within Interact I can use. It is fabulous. And I think that the ease of use of the software is one of the reasons why so many people take our quiz. Another one is Kajabi. If you are on the Kajabi platform, Kajabi has a built-in assessment tool within Kajabi. It doesn't look that awesome. And I really hope they upgrade this. Knowing Kajabi, I love Kajabi. They're always upgrading their things. But, you know, it's really important to try to keep software in as few places as possible, right? We don't want you having to pay for all these different kinds of software. So if you have Kajabi, I would certainly look into using the actual Kajabi software that is built in with that platform. Google Forms. Okay, you guys can use Google Forms. As a matter of fact, Google Forms has an option in the forms where you can turn your questions into a quiz or an assessment. I have never done it before. And I will also say that the downfall of that is, in order to use Google Forms, somebody has to have a Gmail address. In certain instances, we have a Google business account, so I think that can supersede that. But just so you know, there are some hangups. Google Forms would be the least recommended place that I would put this, but just so you know that is an option as well. And then Typeform. I love Typeform quizzes. I've thought about using Typeform myself multiple times. You guys have already I already know you've taken Typeform quizzes. It's really easy. They're incredibly mobile friendly, and you just tap through the answers. And Typeform is great. Typeform is going to run you, a couple pretty pennies a month. So if you're going to invest in a software like Interact or like Typeform, we need to make sure that we have a good marketing strategy behind your quiz to pay for the use of that software. All right. So then the next step is obviously marketing your quiz. So let's talk about how to use your quiz. The first thing is understanding where your quiz is going to be placed. So you want to use this quiz everywhere. Some suggestions could be, we have to decide where the quiz itself is going to live. So is it going to be embedded in a landing page on your website? So what I just showed you guys was our quiz actually embedded onto a landing page on my website. This is a powerful thing, because when somebody lands on my website, we automatically, so my Facebook pixel picks them up. That means that when somebody lands on the landing page and takes the quiz from my own website, that if I were to choose to run Facebook ads to that person down the road, then I know exactly how to target those Facebook ads for people who've been to my website before. I can target them based on website visitors. I could also target them based on website visitors and upload the list to Facebook of the people that are in each section of each outcome of my quiz. So I could run hyper-focused ads to people who have been to my website and they've landed in outcome number 3. So I'm saving on my ad budget, and I'm only running to ads to people that I know what they want and they know who I am. So it's what we call a warm audience. So where you place your quiz is a really important thing. My top recommendation is to make sure your quiz is embedded someplace in a landing page of your website. You can also use a separate software. So there are some quiz builders that, and by the way, the list I shared with you up top is not an exhaustive list. There's tons of other quiz builders out there. And there are quiz builders that are made just for Facebook. So if you have a big Facebook audience, there are actually Facebook quiz builders that you can put on Facebook that people are used to taking from Facebook, that you might get way more interaction by actually hosting that on Facebook as opposed to a landing page on your website, because it's native to that software. It's designed specifically for that software. So that is just an example for you. There is no right or wrong here. I just want you to understand the back end strategy of marketing and how that's going to affect where you put your quiz. And then, of course, how are you going to share your quiz? Are you going to share your quiz through social media links? Will it be on the header of your website? Do you have a text to take code? So we have a text link. So you can text the word Sweet Life. So that's one word, Sweet Life, to the number 31996. And you guys, if you haven't done that, you can test it right now. You don't have to take the quiz, but just kind of see what it looks like. And we send a link to take the quiz. So when I am speaking, when I'm on a podcast, when I am, walking by somebody, I know they don't have pen and paper, I'll be like, oh yeah, you want to take my quiz? Whatever, this is awesome. Let's figure out where you are in your business development. Just text the word Sweet Life to the number 31996. And it gives them the link to our quiz. So we use this quiz everywhere. We've shared this quiz for years. And it's a really great way, but we want to make it easy for people to get access to your quiz. A couple other examples are a pretty link. So for example, if you are, whether you're hosting your quiz on a landing page or whether you're hosting your quiz on an outside software, if you are not using the slick text number or a texting number like we have, we want to make sure the URL of where your quiz is super easy to remember. So for example, I can tell people go to sweetlifeco.com/quiz. It's pretty darn easy to remember, right? So we want to make sure that the link to where your quiz lives is an easy URL. It's not something that's jumbled up. And so if you don't have the ability to create a really pretty URL within your website yourself, then you want to use another software like Pretty Link. Don't use Bitly. Bitly is very hard to remember. It's not designed for this. Bitly is designed to make big, long links shorter. Nobody's like, okay, I'm going to go to bi.tl. That's terrible. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a pretty link, something that's super easy for them to remember. I would also recommend, if you're using this as your primary lead magnet, that you need to have this visible. It needs to be on your homepage. There should be a button someplace on your homepage that's like, take the self-assessment. Find out where you are. You have to have this very clear on your website so that people can take action on it. You also can make the link to your quiz, your primary link in your Instagram handle. You can create, because we're talking a lot about Pinterest this week, you can create a whole bunch of different Pinterest templates. So basically a bunch of different Pinterest designs that kind of relates to your quiz, and have them go back in every single one of your Pinterest, your posts links back to your quiz. And so those are great ways that you can use this quiz from a marketing standpoint. But we aren't even talking about these things yet. Okay, I just want to give you, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My phone is going crazy. My watch is going crazy. I just want to give you an example of how this is going to be used, how to seriously like blow up your quiz and make sure we're distributing it really well after you actually create it. But the whole point of today's training, we're at an hour now, so I want to make sure we're wrapping this up and we're moving into your open questions and answers. The whole point of today's training is to teach you guys this. Steps 2 and 3 are the hardest parts. And so again, to recap, you need to determine the number of outcomes you're going to have. And then you need to write a paragraph or multiple paragraphs. Okay, the thing with quizzes, you guys, is the outcomes don't have to be short. As a matter of fact, the outcomes are, like the longer they are and the more information, people are like, oh my gosh, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. They love you because of the information you've given them and the outcomes, right? And so step number 2 is to write the outcome, whether it's 1 paragraph or 3 paragraphs. This is also where I highly recommend, and this is like next level business development, but I expect this out of each one of you guys. You guys are all like really amazing entrepreneurs with passion about for what you do. To really rock it out of the ballpark, you need to create a video for each one of your outcomes. You need to create a very specific short video, could be 30 seconds or 90 seconds. Say, hey, great, this is where you are. And then you can even say, you don't have to go into all the details of what you're sharing with the outcome, but it's just a way to introduce yourself. Just say, hey, great, thank you so much for taking the self-assessment. I'm Leslie. I'm an interior designer that focuses on working with families who want in their homes. It's so great to be connected with you. Here are the outcomes of your quiz below. You can even, so shortcut, you can even create one video and tag it and put it in every single one of the outcome emails or on the landing page of the outcome, and then have the different outcomes below. But gold star is creating a specific video for each outcome, not a long video, specific video for each outcome. That way they get to see your face, they get to connect with you even more, and they love the heck out of you because of the fact that you're giving them specific examples and really hitting home with them. All right, so that is, this right here is the biggest part. If you're creating a quiz, your homework is to first do that. All right, and then you go into writing your, and I will change that word, I just feel like it's clear, write your quiz statements for each one of those, and you write the number of statements or questions based on the number of questions you want to have in your quiz. All right, I will email this out to you guys. Make sure that you have it. As a matter of fact, let me see here. If you have questions, go ahead and start plugging them in right now, and I will